Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Apron Work Podcast. This is episode. I should probably have looked this up before we start. I think we're on what episode 6. So there we go. A lot of the WrestleMania predictions one threw me off a little bit. So episode 6 of Apron Work Podcast, and as in the previous 5 episodes, I'm joined with the talented, the beautiful, the tire replacing Rushmore and Peachy. Rushmore, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing incredible now that my spare tire is on my car.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Peachy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Had a good amount of time to prepare for this episode.
Yes, we had a little extra time thanks to spare tire replacements.
You're welcome. I'm looking out for the betterment of this show. All right?
I know. Speaking of betterment of the show, I don't know how that transition's going to work, but let's get into today's topic. When we initially started doing, hey, what should we talk about when we do this and all that fun stuff, Mr. Rushpass, well, Mike Rushpass, not your dad, came up with this idea for the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. Going back and forth, we kind of just decided, Mike, let me hand it over to you. You explain kind of the idea around the topic and what your thoughts are with it.
It depends. Do you want me to explain what Mount Rushmore is? Or
yes, if we can do a brief little history lesson.
All right, I need Wikipedia. All right, the whole basis around it is you pick 4 wrestlers. We didn't want to limit ourselves to it, so it's basically on your own criteria, however you feel like those 4 guys should be picked, whether it's your favorite wrestlers, the best wrestlers of all time. So it kind of made it interesting, because even though I don't have multiple lists, I've already heard from both of you that you have multiple lists. So it's about figuring out which one you actually want out there. I know.
It was hard.
Good.
No, you go ahead. I know what you're going to bring up, so you go ahead. This is more important.
I was going to say, I put it out there on Twitter for the many listeners we have out there on Twitter.
Hold on. You messed this up. For the millions and millions of Apron Work Twitter followers. There, that's how you sell it.
All right, well, next time you could do that. Next time I talk about Twitter. I put it out there. I actually got surprisingly way more responses than I expected to.
Thank you to everyone that did respond. That's pretty awesome, actually, just thinking about it.
Yeah, I thank Peach for making multiple fake Twitter accounts and responding to it, so thank you, Peach, for your
Gotta get them Russian bots in.
But I noticed a lot of people, went on the typical best of the best. There was some people that put their personal favorites then and now. But just real quick as we go over it, I don't want to go over everybody that was picked because there was a lot of different options.
Who were the top 4?
Twitterverse.
Yes.
The top 4 for the Twitterverse. Thankfully, there was no ties for 4th. We actually had a 3-way tie for number 1 spot, which was Ric Flair, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker.
Ooh.
And then, because of the last couple ones that got entered in right before the show, actually, Hulk Hogan took over that number 4 spot from Shawn Michaels, who held on to it for most of the way. So I was a little surprised there. Hogan made a last minute run there.
Well, of course Hogan had to put himself over. So.
But yeah, exactly.
Peach, we'll explain that to you later.
Yeah. Peachy does not understand these wrestling terms.
Yeah. So Mike, go into your 4 now. So that's cool. So the 4 from the Twitterverse was Taker, Flair, Austin, Hogan.
Yes.
Nice. That's a good list. That's a good list.
It is. It's a good list. When we were going over this, we were figuring it out. I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was. There's a lot more options out there than I think I thought I was even going to come up with. I was surprised at mine, and now I'll transition it into mine. Ric Flair was also on my list. That's an easy one. There's really very little explanation for it. But before I get into the rest of them, I'll explain. My criteria for this was not just who has the most championships. It was not who was at the top of the company, which I think a lot of people think of when it comes to this. It was more who I thought was the most entertaining in the ring and outside the ring. Guys that I feel like could wrestle, have a convincing storyline, everything, really.
Yeah.
The whole package when it comes to a wrestler, where it left certain guys out of it because even though they're really good in one side, there's something left to be desired. So Ric Flair embodies everything, really. I mean, except for the fact that he's been 90 years old wrestling for so long, so his in-ring skill diminished. But when he was younger in his prime, he could do just about anything.
Even with that, like, I'll even say, like, the matches he was having in WWE, at least, like, towards the end of his career, like, even, like, that whole, the gimmick where when he lost a match, he got fired. Like, he had a decent match with, like, MVP. I think he had a match with Carlito in there, too, that was pretty good. And then the Michaels Mania match, it wasn't great, like, but Flair and Michaels, they put on a show. And that's where the Michaels Flair match, I think, kind of describes everything what was around your list with Flair.
Yeah.
Entertaining, he has the ring presence, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I guess I more meant his versatility as a wrestler at his old age. It's like watching the Undertaker year to year. You know what he could do, but you know his body won't allow him to do some of the things at the speed that he was used to doing it. But yeah, it shows a lot about him, the fact that even at an old age he's still putting on matches.
Yep.
Which actually, your comment transitions me into my next guy, which is Shawn Michaels.
Oh.
So thank you. See, Walton did not know my list. This is the first time.
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing it.
Him or Peachy are here on my list. I don't know theirs.
I wish I would have tried. I wish I would have tried to guess your list.
Well, I'll let you guess the second two, but because it's already been talked about, Shawn Michaels, from the moment he turned on Marty Jannetty, it was just, I mean, entertainment at its best. They said, whether it's an interview, his style in the ring, he could keep up with high flyers, and you also had this idea that, he could overpower guys. He can keep up with top guys like that. His versatility in the ring, his style, everything. I mean, it's hard not to have him up there. I know that the Twitterverse knocked him off for Hogan, but I did not knock him off my list.
Now, that's kind of funny. I was just Michaels. I'm thinking back to the the Hogan Michaels SummerSlam match where Michaels just oversold everything and made it look ridiculous. That is so much fun to watch, and it just shows how much of a dick Michaels is or was.
Yeah,
probably still is.
I'll leave this spot open to both of you. See if you can. I want to see what your predictions are for my last two, because I don't think either one of you are going to get it.
Well. Peach, you go. You try to guess. I'm gonna go into my think tank and contemplate this.
So, like, him just talking about, it's two of the older guys, Ric Flair, and, like, how long has Michaels been out now? Is he going to stay all old, or is he going to bring it new? I want to say he brings it new. I want to say he goes, like, newer wrestler.
Peachy's, just for those playing the home game, Peachy currently has the WWE.com roster list up on his website. just looking over everything.
He actually just a Siri for current wrestlers. That's what happened.
Current WWE wrestlers. I'll go Daniel Bryan.
As one of his last two?
As one of his last two.
Okay.
Alright.
For Rest Pass, I'll say Austin. I think Austin's up there. Like, if you're going to have Flair up there with the way you described Flair, I think Austin meets a lot of that same criteria. He just did not have as long as a career as Ric Flair did, which is kind of funny in its own right, but I think Austin meets a lot of that same criteria as well. And I'll go, my second one, I'll say Cena. I'll say Austin and Cena are the last two for your list based off of kind of the way you described everything else here.
Okay, Peach, you want to guess the second one?
Oh, yeah. I thought we were each going to guess one. So, Austin Cena, I'll say Bryant and Paul Dangerously.
Jesus Christ.
Paul Heyman.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I picked wrestlers. I did try to think of ways to get... There was too many guys for me to choose from for me to land on managers or anything like that.
Last night at a party, we did a joke one. Like, me and somebody that was there did one with 4 managers. It was pretty good. All right, go on, Mike.
Well, that's actually the beauty of this, is you could have purely done it on who's done the most for wrestling if you wanted to think of it that way. And, it didn't necessarily have to be wrestlers.
Well, go ahead, Mike. What are your last 2?
Were you going to finish your sentence?
No, it was dumb. Yeah.
It wasn't important?
No, it wasn't important.
Okay. You actually are 0 for 4.
Oh, shit.
Austin was very close on my list. He was. You actually brought up the reason why he was knocked off. At one point, I was at 11 guys, and it was hard for me to choose. Austin was actually not even on my last 6. He was just there at number 7. The next guy I have on there is actually Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Really?
Again, I said I was not going off of who was at the top of the company. To be honest with you, at that time, who was putting on better matches, Macho Man or Hogan?
True. I rewatched it. I didn't watch it live, obviously, but I rewatched Savage Steamboat, and that was a great match. Like that.
It's funny. Steamboat was actually on my list, but all the way at the bottom because, well, he couldn't talk. I tried watching promos, trying to get him to almost convince me to move him up further because of his matches, and I said I wanted somebody who gave me everything, and he did not give me enough to convince me to put him up past most of the guys. But Macho Man, I mean, he had it all. He seriously had it all. You loved him and you hated him. All these guys right now, Ric Flair, you've loved them, you've hated them. Shawn Michaels, you've loved them, you've hated them.
Yeah.
Macho Man, you've loved them, you've hated them.
True.
They've all put on excellent matches. I hate to go off of title amounts and stuff like that because that's out of their control.
Yeah, that's...
At that time, Hogan was the man. There was very little Macho Man was going to do to ever surpass him. But as far as everything you want in a wrestler, if I had to watch one match right now, I could pick anybody to wrestle. Macho Man is right there with Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. If I'm picking a guy in their prime wrestling, he's right there. And number 4 might be a little bit of my personal opinion added in here.
Is it The Miz?
No, it's not The Miz.
I thought
surprisingly, my other list, where you both did 20 lists, I did 2.
Yeah.
He's not even on my top 4 favorite list.
Really?
Surprisingly.
All right.
He just got knocked off of it.
All right.
I'm going with Kurt Angle.
I like it.
He did it for a very long time. That's where I gave him the edge over. Actually, the last 4, my final 4, if you will, was actually The Rock got knocked off at the very end. Jericho was right there with The Rock. Hogan and Austin were the 4 that The Rock and Austin just didn't do it long enough. I know Austin was wrestling for a very long time, but he wasn't at that peak of his career for a very long time.
He wasn't Stone Cold for the long time he needed.
And I just because he's wrestling for a very long time, he was not at that level. The Rock, he's entertaining as hell, but he just didn't do it for a long time. Jericho, he was too vanilla for a long time. It's hard for me to say that because he's a very charismatic person, but the Lionheart and WCW just didn't do it enough for me. And I don't. It wasn't.
What about?
You can't talk bad on Jericho.
But he's
cry.
Well,
in my mind, he wasn't at the level of the 4 that I picked.
Yeah, but no, I'll agree with that definitely. Based off of your list, that makes sense. But what about the man of 1,004 holds? Come on, That was clutch. The him and Malenko. Oh, that was such a good rivalry.
It was good. It was good, and I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it wasn't. I mean, seriously, it was The Rock. I have my list of the last ones dropped off. It was The Rock and then Jericho. I had Jericho in front of Hogan and Austin. He was still on the list.
Oh.
So actually, Macho Man jumped up there pretty quick at the end when I was thinking of everything. But Kurt Angle, he almost got it right away. They brought him in here thinking, oh, he's this amateur guy. Some of the funniest moments that you could think of, Kurt Angle's been a part of. He's been serious. He's been funny. He's been a good guy. He's been a bad guy.
Drink your milk.
He obviously can perform in the ring, probably better than any of the guys that were named, just because of his amateur background. And he took chances. He didn't come out here. He's not.
He did the joke gimmicks, which just says a lot about his character. To where.
He's done everything they've needed him to do. He's been the champion. He's been the guy sitting there in the mid card. He's done everything they've asked of him. He's come out and he's done moves from the top rope. He's taken chances with everything. I feel like my thought was if I had to pick guys right now, my famous 4-way match, where I think all these guys are going to entertain me leading into the match, during the match, and after the match, I think Kurt Angle was my number 4.
I like it. I did not predict this list at all.
I told you I surprised myself. When I actually wrote these down, I surprised myself.
I like this list a lot.
I like that concept of having the 4 people in your Mount Rushmore wrestle each other. What kind of match would they put on? That's just something to think about. That's pretty, them 4 being in a 4-way match.
Yeah.
Did I change your picks, Peach? Is that what?
No.
But since we said we were going to talk about our other lists, and I do not have 6 lists like you guys do, so my only other list was my personal opinion list. I can go over real quick. Guys like The Undertaker, love him, but if it wasn't for his gimmick, him on the mic, not so much. Sting, same thing. Bret Hart, same thing. Cena was right after my final 4 because I feel like he gives you more with everything else.
Yep.
Entertainment value. I had Mick Foley on there after those guys. Roddy Piper, Andre the Giant, Dusty Rhodes, Steamboat. I had Trish Stratus on there because I was trying to find a way to get a female in there, but there was just too many guys. And then it was hard for me to not at least add his name on here. I put Gargano on here.
Oh, come on.
He has 2 5-star
classics.
I know the one's not sanctioned, and they're both NXT, but it's still WWE, and he's got 2 5-star matches. But leading to my personal ones, Kurt Angle's also on that list. Like I said, I think that gave way a little bit to my 4. Ken Shamrock, which he actually probably is ahead of Angle on my favorites of all time. Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds. Thank you for that lead-in. The man of 1,004 hold.
That is great.
Again, you didn't know any of this stuff.
I did not.
Dean Malenko is probably my favorite wrestler of all time.
You and him have a very similar personality.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I love him. Ken Shamrock, too. You notice 3 of these 4 guys have no personality at all.
Yeah.
The last one, which knocked off The Miz, Scott Norton.
Really?
I love Scott Norton. Yes. Oh, my God, I love Scott Norton. I love Scott Norton. I don't know. What were they called? Buffing the stuff or whatever.
I'm looking.
Buff Bagwell.
That was not a name I was expecting to hear come out.
I couldn't knock him off the list as much as I love The Miz. He could not knock off Scott Norton. I love Scott Norton for a very long time.
No, I like it, man. That's good. That's real good. Fire and Ice. No. Yeah, I'm doing the Scott Norton career search right now. No.
I do Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton.
Yeah. I don't want that to mess up my normal internet search history.
That is my normal internet search history. Vicious and Delicious. There you go. I knew they had a name like that. Vicious and Delicious.
I was kicking around that idea too, to actually put in a tag team on and count them as one.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but I was never a Buff Bagwell fan as much as I was a Scott Norton fan. So there you go. That's my personal faves, which I know, Walt, you already had the Miz written down. If you had to guess, you probably thought there was a chance he was on my actual Mount Rushmore.
I thought he might have been. Like, I think, like
he has improved.
Actually, no, I disagree. I did not have the Miz pegged on your actual Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Like, I think, because I thought you were going to take, this was a very similar way I thought you were taking. I did not expect you to go as technical wrestling heavy. I thought you might have did more with just general, like, guys that are good at the promo but not great at wrestling type of thing. But
yeah, I want my guys to give me everything, and I feel like those four, they give you everything.
It's because
They're
you want
very well rounded.
It's because you want it all for nothing at all.
Exactly.
There we go. So, all right, Peach, let's hear your list. This is probably the most fascinating one to me right now.
Do you want like the real one, or like just like the one-offs?
This is going to be the most generic Mount Rushmore list we have of all. It's going to be Peachy's, because he's disappointed from episode to episode where we expect him to say something stupid.
Yeah.
And he's going to basically copy the Twitterverses.
Yeah. Do your other list have themes?
Yeah.
Go off. I want to see if I can guess the themes.
All right. So this first one starts off with Vince, Linda, Shane, and Stephanie.
People that have been stunned by Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Your favorite McMahon.
Well, I almost want to take Linda off and make her the tour guide and put Triple H on to be like the first family of wrestling.
All right. What's another one?
Nothing to say about that one?
I think it's self-explanatory.
See, if we could have put into words what his face looked like just there when that transition from just okay, yeah, whatever, go on.
Well, I want to get to the main list. I don't want to spend too much time on like the side ones.
All right, well, I'll start off with my real one then.
Okay.
Do you want to take any guesses on who's on mine?
A probing question. Are they all wrestlers?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they all like actual real people?
I'm gonna go with you have.
They're not cartoons.
I want to say you have Taz on there.
That's on one of like my goofy lists.
That's surprising.
Here, you guess two and I'll guess two, Walt, and then you guess your other two.
All right, Taz.
I don't want you to take away some of my options.
I was gonna say Taz was one of them. I'll give that one up. I'll go with Rob Van Dam.
That surprisingly was actually on my like 20 list, and he got knocked off before all these other guys. I'm going with probably the most obvious, I guess, which I know you're not an obvious guy, Peach. Roddy Piper. I'll go Roddy Piper, and I'll go Hogan. I think you got Hogan on there.
All right, 1 for 4. It was Hogan. Hogan's definitely up there on mine. Like, just for the WWF, like, he is the biggest name. He was the biggest draw. He lasted the longest. I know he's kind of, like, in some shit now, but he's still Hogan.
Yeah. He's a piece of shit now, right?
I'm pretty sure he was a piece of shit back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been consistently that, but Hogan's up there. Undertaker. Just for the length of time he's been on, his gimmick, he's always been consistent. There's, I don't know. Whenever I think WWF, I think Undertaker. Who else? I have Mick Foley, because I think out of all wrestling, like ECW was my jam back in the day, and Mick Foley has been, consistent through everything, even when he went to WWF, going through the cage, doing taking the big hits and everything.
That's why I went with Taz more so than Mick Foley, just because I was thinking you might have did some more of your personal favorite size, and I was just I knew you always liked Taz.
And that's why you did Rob Van Dam too, right?
That's what
trying to pull out that ECW.
Yeah, because I knew you had a very strong ECW backing, and I'm just I was sitting there, and I was going to say the Dudleys, but you said you didn't put a tag team, and I'm thinking that might have been the tag team you might have picked.
That was one of them. But you guys saying the ECW, the one was, you said RVD, Taz. Who do you think the other two are?
Sabu and Sandman?
Sabu and... He's still in WWE.
Rhino?
He's not a wrestler.
Paulie?
Paul E. Dangerously.
I was thinking wrestlers. Who's your fourth? Because I realized...
it's Triple H.
Okay.
Just for consistency, length, all of that. I think he deserves to be up there. And he's, with the NXT, him holding, the future of the business. I think Triple H deserves to be up there.
I hate... You do this every fucking week, Peach. That's a respectable list.
I told you. I said his is going to be the most vanilla one. I don't mean it in a bad sense. I mean because we come into it expecting you to come out with Doink, as your real great
Doink,
wrestlers
dink.
list.
Yeah.
Or a bunch of guys that
wrestlers list.
A bunch of guys that just wrestled at WrestleMania because you can't think of other guys.
Yeah.
Something like that. Expect that. And actually, for numbers' sake here, before we continue on, not a single person on the Twitterverse voted for Kurt Angle. Not a single person voted for Mick Foley. And not a single person voted for Triple H. So
Mick Foley's a very niche category, I would say. When you think wrestling...
I figured that one's more me... Yeah.
Yeah, that's every Mick Foley's very niche. Mick Foley's he's up he's a good one. Yeah, he had all the stories. He wasn't a great he wasn't a great technical. His daughter's hot. I mean, that's
that's why
that bumped him up.
Yeah, that bumped him up on Peachy's list.
Actually, the only one of those three that surprises me, that again, out of 21 of them, and some of them were specific to people's favorites, it's actually Triple H more than Kurt Angle. I'm surprised somebody didn't have Triple H on there.
Well, the problem is with Triple H, and this was what was it? It was kind of mentioned in that Wrestling Isn't Wrestling video that was a few years old. Triple H got he gets overlooked all the time because he was overshadowed by Undertaker, Rock, Austin, Foley, Michaels, those guys. He was in the middle of that to where if he was kind of doing the same thing now, he would probably be more presented better or things like that. But he was just in a bad spot. But yeah, Triple H definitely, to that first family comment, he's setting up to take over. And if NXT's any kind of indication, he's doing great. It's you have good things to look forward to.
Well, that's why it surprised me a little bit. Not that I think he deserves to be on this over Kurt Angle in my mind, but just that because he's so prevalent right now, that I was just surprised that somebody just didn't mention him. Yeah. So I'm happy you have Mick Foley and Triple H on there, because I don't know who Walton's going to say, but I think those are two that will most likely get overlooked a lot, but I think they deserve to be mentioned in this conversation at least.
The one cool thing I'm looking at, just reading, all three of our main list have pretty significant rivalries across two of the wrestlers. Flair and Michaels had their WrestleMania match.
You haven't done yours yet.
I know, that's what I'm just reading. I obviously know what mine is, and one of the rivalries is going to be blatantly obvious. But Flair and Savage, I think they had a decent rivalry in WCW. Michaels Angle, they had the match at Mania. for your list, Peach. I mean, Undertaker Foley, the Hell in a Cell match. Foley Triple H, Mick Foley like as Cactus Jack with their Hell in the Cell match. I think it was his career-ending match or something like that. I think it was at a Royal Rumble. That match.
Quit.
Nah, it wasn't they didn't have an I Quit. That was Mankind and The Rock. But that's pretty decent rivalries.
I had other people that were up there. Like I was really tempted to put Stone Cold or The Rock in, but I don't know. I feel like the Rock is huge, but I don't think he.
So this is so your Mount Rushmore, quote unquote, is more of a mix of who has done your personal favorites that have done the most for the company per se, or for quote unquote the industry.
Industry, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that's up.
And then Vince, I was really tempted to put McMahon on there, but his it's not like his wrestling or anything's up there. It's just he is WWE.
He's won a Royal Rumble. All right.
Yeah, that's fact. He's a former ECW champion.
Yes, another fact.
Yeah.
I want to hear your.
WWF?
I want to hear your side list, Peach. I want to continue on that road of you giving a side list and us trying to figure out what the reasoning for it is.
They're all easy to guess. Like I said, Taz, Sabu, RVD, and Paulie. I think that's the Rushmore of ECW.
That's your favorite WCW.
Hold on, wait. Say that again.
WCW.
Say that again.
Taz, Paulie,
RVD and Sandman.
RVD and Sabu.
Sabu. Okay. I'm just surprised Dreamer's not
WCW, ECW.
Yeah, I'm just surprised Dreamer's not up there.
Paulie was never in TNA.
Yeah, true.
Like I sat there and I was trying to get a girls list together, but I don't know who would be up there.
I did put it. I was looking at girls list and it was hard to kind of because it was very easy to cherry pick and it's just blatantly obvious for from the girl side and but it is what it is.
Yeah, I will say I did the same thing with the females, and I think there was two that jumped out right away, and then it all becomes really
your favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trish and Lita are probably right there right away, and then it all depends on what you're picking. I'm assuming our lists are mostly coming from who we've personally seen. So
right, not the old timers.
Yeah, to throw any old timers on there. I can't speak for you, Walt. I haven't heard your list yet. I don't know. But I'm just going off of, like I said, what I've seen from people's stuff on Twitter. I'm never going to put Bruno Sammartino up there because the extent of what I've seen him wrestle was when he got inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And
I understand what he did. Kind of how long he held the title, things like that. But also, for me, a Bruno Sammartino, I never really seen a lot of, other than what you said, I just wasn't a fan of that older style of wrestling. But do you have any other list, Peach, that you have that kind of...
For the women's, China, I thought was up there. Just because she was dominant for so long.
Yeah.
So was it China, Lita, Trish?
And, I had somebody else,
Medusa.
Sensational Sherry.
I just finished it.
No, I don't know. I think I deleted the female one.
Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy is a female.
Santina.
I did have
the Morella.
I did have the up there too. The tag teams. I had the Hardy Boys. I had the Dudley Boys. Who else? Hulk and Animal, and I think it was Rock and Sock. Just to have a goofy.
That should have been your main one.
Yeah,
Rock and Sock.
See,
that's the tag teams.
That's what we expect from you, Peach.
Yeah,
Rock and Sock to be on the 4 greatest tag teams of all time.
Not
to mention Hulk Hogan and Animal never wrestled together.
Oh man. All right, so if that's your list, Peach, I'll kind of move over to mine. So you guys want my main list first, or do you want my other side list?
Let's see if we can guess your side list.
Alrighty, so here's one side list I did. Trish, Lita, Charlotte, Sasha.
That is the sexiest wrestlers you've ever seen.
Yes. No, like, it was hard for the women just because, like, there's that big gap between... There's, like, the model era, where it's all, like, the Kelly Kellys, those ones that really weren't great at wrestling. And so it was, like, Trish and Lita, and then the quality dipped down, and then you have, like, present day, which, like, I was looking at the list, too. I was like, do AJ and Caitlyn get added to that list just because they were kind of an anomaly in kind of that era of actually being good wrestling with a good rivalry, things like that. But Charlotte and Sasha are, I think, two of the best going right now, and like they will kind of take that over.
It depends on how you look at it, because Michelle McCool had a long run, but like you said, that was during the model era. And Beth Phoenix the same way. And
yeah, Beth Phoenix
her matches weren't going to be amazing because she's wrestling Kelly Kelly. I mean, they're not. If you put all the best ones at the same time, you might be thinking of those wrestlers in a different light right now.
Yeah, that's where I forgot about Beth Phoenix because of, the only real opponent she ever had was Natalya.
Yeah.
Realistically. All right, next one. Dudleys, Hardys, Young Bucks, Outlaws.
Tags.
Yeah, my four favorite tag teams.
Oh, wow. I had two of them.
Yeah. This one is, okay, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, AJ Styles.
Your most favorite, like, technical wrestlers, like in-ring performers.
I think not my favorite, but I think the four best.
Who you think's the best?
Yeah, four of the best, and that was very hard. Like the Bret Hart and Styles.
Wait, do it again.
Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, AJ Styles.
Okay.
This one, Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Paul Heyman, Gato. Come on, you guys.
Who?
The last one is a hard.
Managers.
Gato. It's like bookers or runners of the company. So McMahon with WWE, Bischoff with WCW, Paul Heyman with like ECW, and then Gato is the booker for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I put him on there because like I've been getting into a lot more of the New Japan stuff, and he's kind of the reason for it. He's the one that booked Omega Jericho. So, like, I'm kind of putting him on that level just because, for me personally, like, that's what, like, is kind of really, like, the matches they've been going. The wrestlers have been putting on phenomenal matches, but those bookings are really drawing me in as well.
I was thinking Mortal Kombat characters
yes,
when we got to that point.
I figured. Chris Jericho, CM Punk, Undertaker, and the Hardys.
Malton's favorite.
Your favorites.
Yeah. Like Chris Jericho.
You said Jericho.
Yeah, Chris Jericho's all-time favorite. CM Punk, like what he did at the time, I think really like just got me back into wrestling. The way he was on the mic, the matches he wrestled were great. Undertaker, first match I ever remember seeing was him and Yokozuna in the casket match at 92, 93 Royal Rumble. Scared the living shit out of me and just kind of got me into wrestling. And then the Hardys, whenever I was thinking of my favorites, the Hardy Boys kept on coming up in my head, so I couldn't pick just like one. Just like their high flying spots, like I just thought it was so cool growing up, like watching them. And here is kind of my main list. And
can we try to guess these?
Go ahead, try to guess the four.
Your main list. All right, Pete, you want to guess two first?
All right, I'll guess two. I'll say Walton's going to go with, since he's did his favorites and everything. He's not going to put Jericho up there. I would say like he goes more vanilla, like I did. So he'll go Michaels and Hogan.
I see Walton going with an indie guy on this list. I don't know why. Now, which one? I'm going to say he put Shinsuke on here. And I know he's in the WWE now, but still consider a bulk of his career was not with WWE. So I'll go Nakamura and Daniel Bryan just to try to get one of them.
1 for 4.
Michaels?
You said what, Hogan?
I said Hogan.
Yeah, Hogan. So Peachy's probably right, and my list is very vanilla. The way I took this topic as Mount Rushmore of wrestling, the 4 people that I think have contributed the most to the industry in that sense, meaning to get eyes onto wrestling. To where you said something earlier about like Peachy was going, "Hey Siri, give me professional wrestlers." I think that these 4 would be the response to that, and I think these 4 are also to where if you talk to anybody, they will know who these people are. And they
could probably guess them right now.
It's
so Ronda Rousey's up there.
Yeah, it is Hogan, The Rock, Austin, and Cena. Nothing too exciting. Nothing crazy. That's where I came up with 2 lists, because I was like, guys like Flair and Michaels, I wanted to pay tribute to, because like those are people like if you go say Shawn Michaels, some people will be like, oh, I can kind of remember him or something like that. But if you get, like you say John Cena, people are going to know who he is and just completely associate that with wrestling. Austin and The Rock, what they did in the whole Attitude Era thing, I think their rivalry just exploded the industry. It got all the eyes watching. Rock being the corporate stooge for McMahon at WrestleMania 15, what he's turned his career into from professional wrestling. Stone Cold Steve Austin, that whole anti-hero gimmick of the Texas Rattlesnake was just, it worked well for the time, and people just ate it up, and that's what kind of put him at that elevation. Hogan, he was a piece of shit then probably, but everything that's come out with the tapes and all that stuff kind of does put a negative spin on it. But he, what he did in the 80s and stuff like that to kind of just reintroduce this industry to the world, I think has its merit. And then Cena did it for today. Like, yes, his booking sucks. Like, it's annoying to where it's always Cena wins and all that stuff. But the good he does with it, too. The whole Make-A-Wish stuff, like, I know they get cherry-picked and go for it. He just lives and breathes it. He's doing the industry right. Like, everything that kind of Hogan's getting the negative reaction for, Cena, I feel, does a great contradiction of that and just kind of making it a better place. So, to me, that's where, like, those 4, I think, are, to me, what represents the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling ever. So, yeah, you're right, Peach. Very vanilla.
I'm a little shocked. Like, I expected us to interpret it different, but I'm happy that we did, because I know it took me a lot to not basically do what you just did, Walt, and go with like, if I say professional wrestler to somebody, what names do they say? And that's what I think yours is like. You walk up to a stranger and say, "Professional wrestler, go."
And those 4 names.
Peachy did a mixture of it a little bit, where I think, honestly, I think any of the guys we said, most people know the names. I'm just shocked because I think Hogan's the only one that on our main list that even match up on more than one of ours.
Yeah. Me and Peachy matched up on Hogan.
Yeah. I fully expected somebody else to have Flair, so I'm surprised that I'm the only one that had him on there.
I thought Walton was going to have Flair.
The Macho Kurt Angle thing, I realized were going to be different. Michaels, I thought, was a coin flip. But
I thought
Flair,
was more
I'm surprised.
I think the reason, so I was going back with Hogan and Flair, and that's why Flair was the first one on for my kind of technical wrestler. And
right.
watching his the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair kind of like set it in place. It showed me a greater respect for everything Ric Flair's done for the industry, but to me, the eyes that Hogan was able to get onto the product was what was drawing people into it. Ric Flair's phenomenal matches were not drawing people into the product as much as the, I don't want to say freak show, but the show that Hogan was putting on coming into it. That's just kind of where I differ, like, with that. And that's where it's like, and it's like, I didn't want to put Hogan on there. Rock, Austin, Cena, I think, are all well-deserving.
I thought you were going to put Rock in there just so you could make some kind of, like, Mount Rushmore joke.
No, I took this serious, man. I took this serious. Sorry I didn't have a McMahon list like you.
I'm actually surprised, too, because, Peach, I'm trying to remember your fourth. It was
Hogan, Undertaker,
Hogan, Mick Foley.
And Triple H.
Triple H.
So the only, I guess you want to call it full-timer that's on the list is Cena. I mean, and Kurt and Triple H are
well, current
fully part-time. I know Cena's not really full-time much anymore, but he's as close to a full-timer on the list. I mean, Kurt and Triple H are more part-time than Undertaker is. He wrestles once a year.
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked too. Walt, for some reason, I expected one of your four to be a current guy. I had that in my mind that you was put a current guy on there.
Well, that's what I was looking at. Like, CM Punk was the most current for me. Well, I guess technically Jericho too, if you go into it. But like, I was reading it as that Mount Rushmore. Like, if I put Shinsuke Nakamura up on or like Balor, or Gargano, like if I put them up in a Mount Rushmore, like, no, people are gonna be like, who's that? They're not gonna be able to look at it and see like, oh yeah, this is that person. I thought about doing like a current Mount Rushmore of like the best technical wrestlers currently and things like that. And like I was thinking about like not to say like an indie one, but like Omega, Okada, like those guys, getting them on a list somewhere just because of the shit they're doing now, and it's incredible.
That's why I guessed for your main one, because you didn't have an indie list. Yeah. And I'm thinking there's a reason why you didn't have an indie list. Like, it just, I don't know why. It was clicking in my head. Like, you purposely left the indie list out.
Yeah, no, just that's what I went to. When you brought this up, Hogan, Rock, Austin, Cena, those four immediately came to my mind. So, like, I know, Mike, you were doing, like, oh, here's my 20 people. I had those four right off the bat, and to me, I was like, I'm not going to contradict myself just because I think these are right.
Do you have any special mentions, Walt? Like
tour guides, as I was calling them earlier?
Yeah.
Nah, because I was kind of making lists for all of them. Like, if, like, for the Hogan, Rock, Austin, Cena list, like, Flair or Michaels, to me, would be the quote-unquote tour guide of that one, to where they're there, just, like, they're not on the Rock type thing. To my favorites, like, I thought about, oh, man, I had another one that was...
I could have swore you were going to put Jericho up there.
Again, Jericho falls into the same wheel as Hogan. Or not Hogan, Flair does. Technically, I think he's solid. He's had great storylines, but if I say Chris Jericho to someone, like, I don't think they're not going to necessarily know who he is, but he hasn't, what he's done for the industry, people that are fans of professional wrestling understand and would respect that. But, like, for him to bring, like, when Jericho became the undisputed champion and beat Hogan and Austin and Rock in the same night, that didn't bring eyes to the product. Like,
now, almost to go against your list a little bit here, Walt. Peachy's probably the biggest history buff out of the three of us, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Off wrestling. Who's on Mount Rushmore?
Looked this up yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago.
I would see if you can get it, Walt. No, don't look it up.
I'm just looking it up for the future. It's Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson. Or no, Lincoln, Oh God, this is where we get ripped apart.
You got 3 of them. You got the first 3.
That's why I was
Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson, and Roosevelt.
Correct.
Okay. And like I literally looked that up yesterday or earlier this week.
Now, if you were to walk up to somebody and say, name 4 presidents, do you think they're the first 4 to come to mind?
2.
Right, because Trump and Obama are going to be the ones that people are going to mention.
Now, I guess in my mind, I was looking at, but I think like you also, if you're saying, all right, not in the last 10 years, you ask somebody name 4 presidents right now,
right?
You're going to get
Jefferson, the architect of the country,
Kennedy,
JFK.
Wrote the
But that's, I guess, my thought in this process was who, like you said, who contributed more to wrestling, not in the sense of got wrestling out there. Because to be honest with you, was Hulk Hogan replaceable? When he first started, if they found another guy,
Lex Luger,
at his size,
Luger,
and promoted him the
Luger
same
was not
way.
his size.
Yes, he was.
At the very beginning of his career.
Luger was smaller.
If Hogan never existed and Luger came along and Vince promoted him the same way that Hogan did, is Luger's career the same? Do you think of Luger instead of Hogan? If Hogan never existed,
no, because I think it's the same.
In my mind,
it's the same.
He was promoted. It's the way he was promoted. It's the wrestling world Hogan that got him to that level. I think Vince has just as much to do with Hogan being a household name than Hogan has to do with Hogan being a household name.
It's the Undertaker scenario to me, to where Vince McMahon pushed the Undertaker as the character who he is, but Mark Calloway is the one that ran with it and was able to push it to the heights that it is today. Same thing with Hogan, to where Vince pushed the machine, or like he had the machine behind him, but Terry, I forget how to pronounce his last name,
Bolina.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Boleave. Bolia. No,
that
but
should have been on my personal for.
Yeah, no, but he helped push that himself. But
and I get that, but I feel like his character.
Come on, man! I didn't dissect your list apart this much.
No, I'm not. I'm saying. I guess I'm almost defending my list a little bit. Not really knocking yours, because I'm thinking actual when you think of Mount Rushmore, I'm thinking
it's Washington.
It's not the most famous 4 presidents, because they're not the most famous 4 presidents. If you ask any average, but if you ask any average Joe, and I realize that at the time, I get it, and in that sense, why not go with Bruno Sammartino?
Maybe,
because he was Andre the Giant. You're going the most famous. They were the older ones. Ric Flair, I feel like he did it himself more than he did the promoters.
Yeah,
he made that name for himself more, which is why I like Stone Cold a little bit more, The Rock a little bit more, because I feel like The Rock did it himself. Stone Cold ran with that Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't think it was Vince that made Stone Cold. I think Stone Cold made Stone Cold. Where I don't know that Hulk Hogan made Hulk Hogan. I think Vince made Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan, like you said, ran with it, but I don't think he made himself. I guess that's the way I was looking at it a little bit. I think Kurt Angle made himself. Jericho made himself. I don't think it was him being, and obviously him jumping to WWE was a big part of him making that leap from. They obviously had to help him out with it a little bit there, but I don't know. Again, it was my personal opinion. I agree with everything you said with why you said it, Walt. I know it just sounds like I'm disagreeing with you completely.
You're such a jerk. You're such a jerk to me.
But,
you're such a jerk to me.
Peachy's list was better.
Peachy.
The second one's always the best.
So, alrighty. So we got all the list covered. This was a fun topic. I thoroughly enjoyed this one.
Was. I'm actually surprised how long this has went on. It doesn't feel like the same length.
Nah, that's what it was. Very surprising. So, yeah. So I mean, when you guys listen to this, feel free to comment on any of the the Facebook or Mike's Twitter or whatever, and list what your 4 are for whatever reasons you want to. I'd be interested to one, see the response we get, and two, see what people's lists are. See, and or three, you can just tell me how much of a piece of shit I am, and just
Yeah.
let me know
Yeah.
that I'm an asshole and my list is terrible.
Yeah, I'll be a little bit more active on Twitter. I'm sure once we decide next week's episode in the coming days, I'll have that out there. Try to get some more Twitterverse interaction. Obviously, I'm not the host, but I'm going to be the host right now, Walt. Make sure you subscribe.
Like, subscribe, share. Come on, I got that down
Do
pat.
it all. We'll give you Peach's phone number,
Yeah.
so you can talk wrestling.
It's 911.
The first 100 subscribes gets his personal
phone number.
emergency phone number.
Oh man, but yeah, until Mike says, yeah, we got to iron out the topic for next week. But look more to the topics like this one, just kind of random, like a couple things we have written down. I'll just go over the list that I have as topics that we'll hopefully discuss at some point. Is why we like wrestling, who our favorite wrestler is, favorite tag teams, style of wrestling, some of what's your favorite non-wrestling moment. So maybe like currently appropriate to me right now, John Cena proposing to Nikki Bella, favorite non-wrestling moment.
I thought you meant like the final episode of Friends.
Oh yeah, that too, if you want to.
Nah.
Some overrated wrestlers, favorite wrestling video games, some of our favorite toys, like that. That's the kind of stuff we're looking to cover on this podcast. So, do you guys have any final words until I do the awkward send off?
No,
No,
I was
no
actually, I was trying to figure out what the fuck that bubble was that Peachy's talking into, and I realized that's your new microphone, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you can hear me better.
Hopefully. But yeah, if you guys got nothing else, until next week. Thank you everyone for listening. I think when I checked this out before, we had like 58 downloads, which is 50 more than I expected, which just generally makes me very happy and kind of excited. So, and again, like Mike said, like the response he got on Twitter for this topic it's just cool to see. Like, just generally cool for, we're hoping you're enjoying this. But yeah, I got nothing else. So for the awkward sign off for the evening, thanks everyone for listening, and we shall catch you next time.